Happening now, efforts to secure a school resource officer at Jamestown High School taking a step forward, plus the mayor's message to those not yet vaccinated against COVID-19.
Well, that humid and warm weather is going to be gone for this week. We'll talk about where the temperatures are going, plus is there any rain in the forecast next as the News at Noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
The Jamestown City Council will vote on a final agreement between Mayor Eddie Sundquist and Jamestown Public Schools for a school resource officer services during its voting session tonight. Thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. According to the proposed resolution, the agreement will start Wednesday and end on June 30th next year. The costs are budgeted for more than $131,000, with the school district reimbursing the city nearly $110,000. The city will be responsible for the remaining funds in that budget. Officials told us last month that the funding for SROs was previously discontinued because of the uncertainty COVID-19 created. Well, a northern Chautauqua County school district is under the microscope of the state's comptroller after his office found the school committed several financial errors. New York State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli released his latest school district audit last week, finding that the Ripley Central School District had several management issues. Specifically, the comptroller says that the board and district officials did not properly manage fund balances and overestimated budgetary appropriations, resulting in surplus funds exceeding the 4% statutory limit by approximately $1.4 million, or 15%. While the district's payroll payments were paid at accurate rates, payment were not always properly supported and approved, the comptroller also found. Auditors reviewing 41 time cards and say that while not required by the district, more than 70% of them were not signed by a supervisor and none signed by the employee. More than 60% of the time cards were incomplete as a result of missed punches, totaling approximately 250 hours or $4,400. In addition, the comptroller says that payroll clerks did not deduct a total of 13 days approved for leave time, valued at $2,100 from 2 employees' actual records. To correct the issues, the office recommends that school adopt a comprehensive written multi-year financial plan and properly monitor the payroll and requested leave process. Well, at least one person is dead and more than 1 million without power at this hour as Hurricane Ida pummels Louisiana. Now a tropical storm, Ida is crawling across the state, delivering heavy rain with the deluge, warnings of flash flooding. Isabel Rosales is in New Orleans with the latest for us.
Hurricane Ida slamming into Louisiana as a Category 4 storm Sunday is one of the strongest to ever hit the state.
I don't think that there could have been a worse path for this storm. It's going to have some significant impacts.
With sustained winds as strong as 150 miles per hour and storm surge up to 15 feet, the National Weather Service warns parts of southeastern Louisiana could be uninhabitable for weeks.
This is a devastating hurricane. It's going to have catastrophic impact.
Though Ida is slowly weakening, it continues to wreak havoc as it moves north across the state. Heavy rainfall and top levees now posing flash flooding threats.
That intense rainfall, that's going to create a lot of urban flooding across many of the jurisdictions, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and all of the different localities in between. And it's going to strain the system. It's going to strain the drainage system.
Widespread power outages adding to the danger.
Some of the lines can be restored in shorter order, and then advising us that maybe it'll be a few days, but it could be a matter of weeks.
As officials prepare to assess the scope of the devastation, many worry the situation could be dire for those who stayed behind.
It seems like there's hundreds, possibly more people, trapped in their houses. So it's going to be a pretty bad scene with a lot of work to do to move quickly and safely.
In New Orleans, Isabel Rosales.
Isabel, thank you. Power companies there say it could take weeks for things to get back to normal. Additionally, self-service is out across many providers in those impacted areas. Well, work will soon get underway expanding the Chautauqua Lake Sewer District. Officials held a ceremonial groundbreaking this morning for the West Side Sewer Expansion Project, where the first pump station will be erected near the Erie to Chautauqua Cattaraugus BOCES Hughes Center. Karen Ryan, the chair of that district, tells us that it will take around 2 years to complete phase 1 of the project. The extension will provide public sewers to residents on the west side of Chautauqua Lake, along the Route 394 corridor up through Stowe. In the long run, Ryan hopes this effort will fight the algae problem the lake sees.
There's all sorts of septic tanks still around the lake, and this sewer will replace the septic tanks that are leaking into the lake, which leads to phosphorus, which leads to algae, which causes problems in the lake.
Now, once completed, Ryan explains the extension will serve around 450 developed properties in the town of Harmony. She says in future years, the district will be expanded to include northern parts of the lake as well. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. As we get a check of some headlines, both locally and nationally this hour, please let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comment section down below. We always love to hear from you, or simply say hello. It's great to see John, good to see Bridget, Travis, Dave, Wendy, good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to our friend Cindy as well. We thank you both so much for tuning in every single day, and we remind you, you might be watching us now on your television. It's really easy to do that. If you haven't added this to your lineup of channels on your Roku device, simply search channel 716 in the Roku store today. It's absolutely free, costs you nothing to watch this great local content, and we have so much of it too that will be coming on tap, so stay tuned to that. Well, now let's get a first check of our weather forecast. Luckily, no hurricanes here, Dakota. Lots of sunshine. However, we did get a good fair shot of rain and some thunder boomers across the area last night.
Yeah, we did. And I mean, you know, we talked about this last week. And of course, Andrew hinted about this over the weekend about how we were going to see some showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. And we had 2 around yesterday, one in the afternoon and then one overnight as the showers and storms approached ahead of a cold front that's actually not yet crossed through the area. It's a slow-moving front. Live look over Findlay Lake shows you the clouds really parting away across the western part of the county right now. 76, but the dew point still up there at 67. The dew point is not going to go anywhere until that front crosses, which it's not going to cross until tonight. We were expecting it to cross last night, but the front slowed way down, and it looks like it's not going to cross until later tonight. So the satellite and radar composite shows you we've had a couple scattered showers around through the morning hours. Otherwise, the clouds have really been socked in, but notice that clearing right near the Lake Erie shoreline. We're going to see some of that clearing moving in through the basically through the afternoon today. So we should see partly to mostly sunny skies. The allergies, yeah, I'm right there with you. It's still that ragweed pollen giving us that issue. Grass is still low, trees none, weed, the mold pollen none, but that moderate in the ragweed category giving us the issue. 79 over 67 yesterday, nowhere near the records of 95 and 30 set on this date. Woo, partly to mostly sunny through the afternoon. There will be a chance for a couple afternoon showers. We'll show you those on Future Scan a little bit later on. I'm not too impressed with it, but there could be a couple through the afternoon. 77 to 82, and it still will be a bit muggy, but as we mentioned, that cold front crosses later tonight, brings us much cooler weather. We'll talk about it in detail with that 7-day later in the show, Justin.
So many of us looking forward to that relief, Dakota. We'll see you back in 10 minutes. Well, to end the increase in COVID-19 cases locally, Jamestown's mayor says the solution is pretty simple. Get vaccinated. Mayor Eddie Sundquist believes that the only way to truly overcome this global pandemic is by receiving the shot. Specifically, he hopes that the FDA's full approval of Pfizer's vaccine will encourage those unvaccinated to take a chance with it.
But the reality is if I haven't said it enough, you got to get vaccinated, right? Unless you've got some medical condition or, a religious exemption. I understand those things. I get it. But, we got to be cognizant of the society as a whole. And if you're able to get your child vaccinated and you can do so safely, do it. It's for all of us to get back to normal.
Now, when asked what we have to do to move forward beyond the pandemic, the mayor says that the nation as a whole needs to retool some of their processes to respond to public health crises that could emerge in the future. Now, as of this morning, over 66,000 people countywide have received at least one dose of the vaccine. Well, the hope for a so-called return to normalcy from the COVID-19 pandemic this fall and winter appears to be fading. Hospitalizations are up nationwide now, especially in the South, where some places are facing a shortage of oxygen. John Lawrence with more from top U.S. health officials.
The rate of COVID-19 related deaths rose in 42 states last week, according to Johns Hopkins University. And a projection from the University of Washington finds 100,000 more people could die from the virus by December.
What is going on now is both entirely predictable but entirely preventable.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, says there are roughly 80 million people in the U.S. who are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine, but have yet to get it.
It's so important now in this crisis that we're in that people put aside any ideologic, political, or other differences and just get vaccinated.
But some Americans aren't convinced.
You choose what you should do, what you feel is right for you and your family. It's not about being Republican or Democrat.
Including those who held a Freedom from COVID rally Saturday in the Kentucky State Capitol. They say they don't want to be forced to roll up their sleeves or wear masks.
It's my body. No one needs to decide that for me. No one should ever decide that for anybody.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, all 50 states have a high COVID-19 transmission rate, while just half of the U.S. and Washington, D.C. have at least 50% of their population fully vaccinated. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
John, thank you. Dr. Scott Goldby, he's the former commissioner of the FDA, told CBS's Face the Nation that Pfizer is expected to file vaccine data for 5 to 11-year-olds sometime in September. Well, coming up, a lot more to tell you about the role of a big grant that's coming to Jamestown. And later, the new push at SUNY Fredonia to have a professor there try to be a next famed game show host. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
Located along the Amish Trail, the Randolph Retail Company offers a variety of clothing, jewelry, and gifts for any occasion. Offering uptown merchandise at small-town prices, our locally owned business balances quality and value. With complimentary gift wrap here at the Randolph Retail Company, we pride ourselves in personal service. Check out our Facebook page or stop in today at 127 Main Street, Randolph, just a 20-minute drive from Jamestown.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
The city of Jamestown has been awarded a $10,000 grant to help preserve historically significant homes. The Jamestown Renaissance Corporation announced the news. The agency says the city is just one of dozens of local municipalities that have received funding, part of the Preserve New York program. The money will allow architects to conduct a survey of approximately 500 structures on Jamestown's west side to determine their eligibility for a national register. Officials with the JRC say the survey will bring historic preservation to an unprecedented part of the city. When properties are added to the registry, they qualify for the New York State Historic Ownership Rehabilitation Tax Credit. Now, at its 2021 meeting, an independent grant panel selected 32 applicants in 25 counties to receive the funding. Well, a new memorial honoring New York's fallen highway workers was unveiled yesterday during the Great New York State Fair. Governor Kathy Hochul joined several other officials in opening the memorial, which honors all transportation workers killed while performing their job duties on or near the New York's thousands of miles of thruways. The new memorial includes a centerpiece featuring a bronze sculpture of shovels, hard hats, and boots on platforms surrounded by 4 bronze traffic cones and a dedication plaque. It also features paved walkways and seating for respectful refection.
I want to make sure that when people talk about these essential workers, they talk about the people who also showed up on the roads, who kept showing up to a work site during a pandemic. They couldn't stay home. They couldn't do Zoom calls to get the work done, and they kept building back New York during a pandemic. And to all the workers, I want all of us to give them a rousing round of applause because they got it done.
According to the Federal Bureau of Labor, from 2003 to 2017, more than 1,800 workers lost their lives at road construction sites across the U.S., averaging 123 per month. Well, tomorrow, August 31st, it's the deadline for the U.S. to withdraw from Afghanistan. And as Britt Conway reports, the violence there is intensifying, with another round of attacks on Kabul's airport following U.S. airstrikes over the weekend.
As the clock winds down for all U.S. troops to withdraw from Afghanistan.
We are in a period of serious danger.
Monday morning, a U.S. official tells CNN as many as 5 rockets were fired at Kabul's airport, but shot down by a U.S. defense system. There were no reports of casualties or who was responsible. Friday and Sunday, officials say U.S. airstrikes took out 2 high-profile ISIS-K targets.
We have disrupted those attacks. They are individuals involved in the facilitation and planning and production of explosive devices, and they are part of the larger network of ISIS-K that is seeking to target both Americans at the airport and ultimately to try to represent a greater threat to our interests both in Afghanistan and beyond.
Federal officials say that includes possible threats here in the U.S.
Their current capability to threaten the homeland is not there, but that is a capability that they are seeking.
All while desperate evacuation efforts continue, closing in on the withdrawal deadline. But officials say the mission isn't over. The U.S., along with 114 countries, released a joint statement saying they expect the Taliban to allow safe travel out of Afghanistan.
August 31st is not a cliff. After August 31st, we believe that we have substantial leverage to hold the Taliban to its commitments to allow safe passage.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Britt, thank you. In a statement on Saturday, President Biden said the slain troops, quote, enabled more than 117,000 people to risk their lives to safety thus far. Well, a revised spectator policy for SUNY JCC is now underway. This as the first athletic competitions are slated to get underway this week. The Director of Athletics and Recreation announced the college's updated spectator policy on Friday. For outdoor events such as men's and women's soccer, spectators are able to attend but asked to practice social distancing. Those who interact with others outside of their group are asked to wear a mask if they cannot specifically distance themselves. Now, for indoor events, things like volleyball, basketball, wrestling, and swimming, spectators are permitted inside the physical education complex, but are required to wear a mask at all times, regardless of their vaccination status. For any away events, spectators need to adhere to the host institution's protocols. JCC's fall home athletic season kicks off at 6 o'clock tomorrow when the Jayhawks host Lakeland Community College in women's volleyball. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comment section down below. We always love to hear from you. Regardless, it's great to get back to some of those fall-time sports that maybe we didn't see that much earlier this year and definitely not last year. And the gym looking great for you. Think about it. I'm just thinking about the shots of of the gym, which is, huge for things like basketball, volleyball, where we have, locals who really do excellent in those sports at JCC. That was a huge COVID vaccine site, if we think about it, not too long ago. And now it's kind of shifting back to, okay, we can have sports again, we can reopen the gyms, and it's great to see, because I think so many people we've been waiting for that, to try to get back to go into those games and enjoying ourselves, and I think we have been, right? You've been able to get out. Let us know what you guys think about this and more in the comments down below. Have you gone to games? Have you gone out to games? What's your take on all of this? We'd love to hear from you. One person that we always like to hear from is you, Mr. Hunter. And over the weekend, we heard from you and Andrew quite a bit, weather-wise, regarding how much
more of us than
rain.
you'd like.
Yeah, sometimes a little more. I mean, it's not that bad, I don't think. Like, the weather hasn't been that bad here locally. You just got to get through the heat and the humidity. That's just the biggest kind of pain. But we can't complain, especially when we compare it to some of this weather we've seen, like with Ida. I mean, I was watching the feeds last night, and a hurricane, regardless of a tropical 4, tropical 5, category 5, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as bad.
Well, I mean, and we're going to talk about the current information on Ida, but a lot of people were getting hung up in the rating on this thing. It made landfall with 150 mile per hour winds. That's 6 miles per hour lower than Cat 5 status. But it doesn't matter if this thing came in as a high end 4 or a low end 5. The impacts are still the same. So.
Right. I know they were talking about too the buildings in New Orleans. The higher you would go, hopefully everybody evacuated. But say you lived in a multi-apartment and you were on like the 13th, 14th, 15th, 20th floor. The higher you go, the stronger the winds, and that almost could increase, not officially the category, but the wind speeds would be considered to be a Cat 5.
Yeah. And then plus, in the feeder bands of tropical systems, you do get these spin-up tornadoes that occur at times as well. Speaking of Ida, let's go in there and take a look at the current information. As of 11 o'clock, the Hurricane Center has this as a tropical storm with 40 mile per hour winds, and the land has pretty much done its job in weakening this thing, but you can see all the feeder bands bringing all that warm Gulf moisture back into the center of circulation, and that's going to keep this thing going for at least a little while. So here's the current forecast track from the Hurricane Center. This thing's going to come through Mississippi, through the northern part of Alabama, up into Tennessee, and then watch where this is going to go as we go throughout the week. This thing is ultimately going to be moving into the northeast, and then it's actually going to stay south of us, but some areas like in Pennsylvania could see some heavy rainfall likely on Wednesday and Thursday. Here it goes. The computer's taking a second to catch up with me. And you can see here, this is the forecast track here. This is going to come basically into the northeast, and there is some potential for some heavy rainfall across central Pennsylvania Wednesday and Thursday. It's going to stay away from us, but to our friends down in central Pennsylvania could get some very heavy rain. And how about the storms yesterday? Harley sent this in from Frewsburg yesterday of some clouds, and these were what we call CLCs, creepy looking clouds. They were harmless, nothing severe, but we did have some severe weather to go along with that. My local WX is the hashtag you send us to send us stuff on social media. Live look downtown from the HD News Now cam shows you just the clouds breaking apart. We had some cloudy skies earlier this morning. They're starting to break apart as a noon hour. 75 degrees is where we're at right now. No wind to speak of, but the dew point still up there at 68, so we still do have a heat index of 76. So here's what's going on here. We're going to see some cooler air coming in toward the middle of the week. So 79 should be our high temp today. 75 tomorrow. We're down to 70 on Wednesday. Some spots will likely stay in the upper 60s all day on Wednesday. Then we go back into the lower 70s for Thursday and Friday, but it still will be a nice day. So this is that cold front that we mentioned earlier, really has slowed down. We were expecting it to move through last night. It's really slowed its forward motion, so it's not going to get here until later tonight. So the newer run of future scan shows that to you. We still do have a couple scattered showers possibly popping up through the afternoon. That's out ahead of the front. And then as the front actually moves through tonight, we're going to see partly to mostly cloudy skies tonight, maybe some patchy valley fog setting up overnight. Then we may see another chance for maybe a spotty shower in the morning tomorrow, and then maybe even popping up again in the afternoon. But after that cold front sweeps through, it changes our wind direction to favor the north-northwest, and a north-to-northwest wind always means cooler air is going to be surging on in, and you'll see we have another chance for a few more scattered showers, but at least no day over the next 7 is really going to be a washout. So the zone forecast today, we're likely going to top out again, maybe upper 70s, maybe around 80 in some spots, sun and clouds with a passing shower. And do you see any 80s in the next 7 days of your life? I don't. And you'll see that we do have a couple chance for some showers at times. Thursday, Friday, Saturday should be mainly sunny, good supply of sun. And it looks like our next chance of rain after Wednesday is going to be Sunday. We'll take a break. Be right back.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now. It's not just what we say, it's what we do.
Local first. It isn't just our slogan. It's our mindset every single day. So whether you're watching our daily live streams or staying up to date with reports on our website and mobile app, you'll always see the same attention to detail from reporters who passionately care about our community, who have one goal in mind: to always put the facts first.
For me, it's more than just getting the forecast right. What I love the most about my job is that I come into work every day to help break down the weather, letting people know how this is going to impact their day. We take pride that First Defense Weather is the only local weather team in the Southern Tier. We don't just copy and paste our weather from outside sources. Every part of our forecast is handmade right here in-house, something our team really takes pride in.
What matters to you matters to us. Every story, every day. WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Students of a SUNY Fredonia professor have launched an effort to have their instructor try out for Jeopardy! Not as a prospective contestant, but rather to take on the role of host of the show. A Change.org petition was launched to give Associate Professor of Journalism Mike Igor a chance to try out for the job. His students say that while no one can truly replace the late Alex Trebek, Igor would be a great fit to continue Trebek's legacy of hosting this iconic game show. Now, Igor, like many fans of the program, grew up watching the original Jeopardy! With Art Fleming in the 1960s. While he doesn't expect to receive an invitation, he feels it's a good educational experience for his students.
A young lady who wrote the blurb that appears on change.org, she hit it very well. She got a lot of information about me in a 4-paragraph thing, and that's kind of what I teach in journalism, how to write succinctly with a message that resonates with the people when you got a limited amount of time to get their attention.
Well, Igor has 30 years of experience working in media, including time as a news reporter for WGRZ in Buffalo. Now, last week, producer Mike Richards stepped down after a brief tenure as host amid criticism of some past comments. So the search is on. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a Western New York resident as the next host of Jeopardy! Let us know what you guys think about that. I mean, I think it's a great effort, but talking to him this morning, Dakota, he very realizes in the sense that more than likely they're probably not going to respond to this petition. However, he's really proud of his students for taking on this effort, and I think he's right in that sense. What better way to engage in your work?
You know, me being the game show fan that I am, I know the inner workings of game shows and how the producers pick things, and I know all this stuff, and it's useless information, but
it comes in handy right now.
Right. Finally, it comes in handy. But it's like, producers nowadays pick hosts that have comedic backgrounds.
Right.
And
got to make the show interesting, right?
Right. And it's like, all the game show hosts now are comedians, which whether it's good or bad, I don't know. That's just where it's going now. So I don't know. And honestly, my personal opinion, the only reason Mike Richards left The Price is Right, because he was the big boss at The Price is Right. The only reason he left is because he wanted to host either Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy.
Yeah, well,
nice day tomorrow.
The search continues.
See you tomorrow.